adjustments during the game, but I think sometimes people think what look like adjustments is just simply executing better.
Okay.
Sometimes the adjustment is just got to do your job better.
Right.
And I think all three phases of the game, special ops, defense, and offensively, we executed the best as a team last week.
Yeah, and it looked like you had really good balance too. You mentioned that everybody seemed to pull their weight. Anytime you have a shot out, obviously the defense played well. I particularly noticed Logan Mon from the safety position. He seemed to make a lot of plays very close to the line of scrimmage. He had a great game, didn't he?
He had an outstanding game, and he was going to be here today too, but he had some family issues. He did a great job of reading that week. And then we put a few tweaks in based on some things we saw that Lakeshore was doing, and he was able to capitalize on it.
And they were big. Certainly, their offensive line must have averaged 240, 250. How do you prepare and attack something with really large offensive linemen like that?
Well, number one, we've had a lot of practice on it all year.
Okay.
It wasn't the first week we've gone against a team that was not only bigger than us, but very, very large. I mean, from Croslex game 1 to
Right.
South Lake a few weeks ago, and Lakeshore, and almost everybody in between. So it's as far as how do we prepare for it, it's the same thing we've been doing all along. But if we were big or small, the main answer, I guess, is we work on fundamentals.
Yep.
It starts with your stance on both sides of the ball, and after that, it's the first two steps, and then the techniques you use at the point of attack.
And you brought a couple kids up from JVs, and they contributed and looked like they did pretty well. How do you decide kind of when to do that and who you can do that? Because it's a big adjustment, not just physically, I would think, but also mentally to make that jump. It
is a big adjustment, and it's not an easy answer. We've been right, fortunately, in almost all cases. There might be one time in the history of our program, I think, where we maybe look back and said, I probably weren't ready for it. So first you got to ask a lot of people a lot of questions.
Yep.
Because it's not just physically are they ready, but then are they going to take care of the classroom? Are they going to be able to handle the speed of the game? So mentally, can they process things at that rate? How's the kid going to handle it down the road? Because sometimes when kids get success early, and make no mistake about it, when a kid gets called up early in his and the community and the parents' minds, that's success already because it's kind of a flattery thing. So is that a kid that's going to, when he gets that early call up, become complacent? And now I've arrived, so now I've kind of achieved my goal and I kind of rest on my laurels. So, we have to look at that. Is the kid a good citizen in the classroom? So there's a whole lot of factors that go into it. From, like I said, communicating with past coaches of other sports, our coaching staff, and parents and the kids themselves, and some teachers.
Okay. Well, Chad Miller, first time here. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate you taking the time. You're the offensive coordinator. Tell us a little bit about your background. How long have you been coaching, and how long have you been here at St. Clair?
I probably started coaching in my late teens as soon as I got out of high school. I played and coached in the Utica Community Schools in Stevenson and Ford.
Okay.
Then I went away after about 8 or 10 years. I went away in Ohio and started business, and then started a business back here. And then as I got close to 50, I was in a situation where I could pretty much dictate my hours, so I tracked Bill down, and so I've been back with the St. Clair program for 8 years now. Been the offense coordinator for 5 years.
Excellent. So,
sure. Before that, he tracked me down, I tracked him down. He started helping with our junior football.
Okay.
And it was very, very obvious to everybody that was around that guy really understood the game, but also could coach kids how to play.
Yeah.
And so it jumped very rapidly, and it was just one of those deals where it was obvious that he was ready, that he could be a great asset.
And I think overall, programs really do need people to help out like that, because especially football with so many coaches, and you need the extra people there to lend a hand. So, Chet, I think one of the things, and I always get a kick out of watching John Gruden and talking about preparation and so on, but as an offensive coordinator, how do you game plan for high school? I mean, obviously it's got to be different, but still there's got to be a need to understand what you want to accomplish that coming week in offense.
Sure. First, the biggest thing is understanding your team.
Okay.
You can think you're a wizard or smart or dumb or whatever, but if you're not focusing on what your team can and cannot do, you're not going to be successful every week. So it starts really, I'm already looking ahead a little bit now that it's Wednesday to the following week, but we really get on film Friday night after the game by midnight or so, and we're already preparing for our kids' film at noon on Saturday, but we go right at it Saturday afternoon and pretty much full-time through the weekend so that we can come in and have a scheme or scouting report ready for the kids when they get out of school on Monday. And of course it improves. You know, we talk to each other, and I always tell the kids I'm a lot smarter on Thursday than I was on Monday because I've had, 3 more nights to watch game film. So it happens throughout the week. You think you know what you're doing on Monday, but you tweak it throughout the week to focus on other teams' strengths and weaknesses.
It looked like you have an interesting way. I mean, do you call all the plays for the offense?
I call the plays for the offense.
And we have a system in St. Clair where it seems like we come to the sideline, either Colin or sometimes Ben does, and brings the play in. How does that communication work? I mean, I would think it'd be a little bit complicated.
Well, it's not like the old days, even when I played, where you would maybe have guards come in or even running backs. Our play calls are so long, it gets lost in the translation. There's only a couple kids that I really trust with calling the play. So the rule is, Colin comes to me, unless we're outside the 20s, going in or coming out, or if he runs the ball, he might be a little gassed, so Ben comes to me, or if he passes the ball on the other side of the field. So that gives him a breather, and Benjamin, or there's a couple other kids that know the playbook pretty well, and I'll trust them with the play call.
It's interesting because I hadn't thought about it, but the 20 is a long way to run.
Yeah, once you get,
you don't have time.
I can come to the 25, so it's only maybe 15 or 20-yard run. Plus, it wouldn't seem like much, but those few seconds I have with a quarterback are helpful. It might settle him down. I might tell him exactly what to look for. He tells me what he sees.
Okay.
So even though it's only a few seconds, it is helpful that I see the quarterback most plays.
Okay, it's interesting. Well, you had a really good balance, it seemed, last week against Lakeshore. Coach White, who does the announcing with me on the TV, mentioned that the time of possession had to be heavily tilted towards St. Clair, and it looked like Lakeshore basically got gassed late in the game.
Sure.
And do you set up, is that the idea when you go into a week, is to try to figure out how to do those sorts of things?
Our type of offense, the style that we play, offensively and defensively, we want to possess the ball. But if we score in a hurry, if Ethan busts one or Banner, we'll take a 2-minute touchdown. And sometimes the defensive coaches are screaming at me, how about an 8-minute drive right now? I said, well, 1-minute drives are okay too. I don't care,
Yeah.
But that's the goal. You always want to possess it more than the opponent. You want to turn the ball over less than the opponent. Those things lead to victory.
Right.
Statistically, it just does.
And it looked like he had very good balance, too. And in high school, I don't think you have quarterbacks very often throwing 30 passes. But certainly we've been gaining good yardage passing most of the year, but with a nice balance. Probably a predominant number of plays are running, but you still have some passing involved as well, right?
We try to make the defense defend everything we have.
Yep.
And that's just it. Adds to your percentage of success.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well, coaches, thanks. Let's talk to the players. And Colin, kind of good segue from, that's a technical TV term there, from Coach Miller into you. So, but first, tell us a little bit about how you started in football. Did you junior football and so on all the way through?
All right, I started with my cousins. My cousins and my family got me into it. So
Okay.
I always looked up to them watching football, and I've always watched St. Clair football program and even Rain City football program. I've always looked up, I've always wanted to play football since I was younger, and then I've just been fortunate enough to have good family, and then it just got me into it, and just been playing with my friends ever since, and I just fell in love with it, I played junior football and played 8th grade football. And
Okay. So you're, as a quarterback, and we just heard Coach Miller talking about that, I mean, recognized probably as the most difficult position on the field. How do you prepare? I mean, you're obviously junior in high school, you've got academic requirements and so on, sleep requirements.
Yeah.
How do you get ready during a week for a game?
My coaches, and I mean, I have a good family support system. They all just, they get me, do a good job getting me ready. And I mean, time management's a big key. So, I mean, I just, just time manage, have time for homework, have time for film, and then just work hard in practice. And I just have a good support system, so I have good time management skills.
It seems like you really developed some chemistry with Ben there behind you. Tell me about how that started. I mean, certainly this year, real success finding Ben Davidson all the way around the field and getting some great results from it.
It started with O-line, you just got to trust your O-line too, so that helped me out. And I trust my O-line, so now I'm not thinking about the rush now. And me and Ben go way back. I mean, we've been friends since way young, just started in backyard. Like even Ian Jansen too, all my wide receivers and running backs. I mean, we just been playing catch in our backyard and just comes in the sync, I guess. I mean, I have
Yeah.
good O-line, and then me and Ben just have that connection, I guess.
Okay. So you started as a sophomore
Yeah.
last year as a quarterback. Again, without question, one of the most difficult positions on the football field. What have you learned, and how have you improved since starting as a sophomore, now almost to the end of your second year starting?
Trust the process. So I did a lot better job of trusting the process this year and just putting more faith in the coaching and just the whole program. You got to buy in. That's definitely one big thing that our team's done, like just buy in and put a lot. I mean, we did a good job putting in work in the off season too, so that helped us a lot. And just trust the process. That helped me a lot. That's definitely improved.
And by that, you mean not going freelance and doing kind of what you're supposed to do?
Not necessarily that. It's just like almost having a little bit more confidence in just confidence in yourself and in the team, and you just got to start. It starts with yourself, and then it starts with like having trust in the team, and then it all works itself out just by trusting.
So just a personal question: how far can you actually throw a football?
Honestly, I've never even been to any camps or anything. I've never even been measured really, but I mean, as far as we need to, I guess.
A good answer.
As long as it makes it to the receiver.
As long as it makes it to the receiver. Just curious, because got kind of a big arm, and I was always kind of interested in those sorts of things.
Yeah.
All right. So John Steiner, offensive tackle. So same kind of questions. How did you start in football?
Well, I started in 4th grade, the first year that I could play junior football. And my dad kind of got me into it. He always played football, and I just kind of wanted to be like him, so that's when I started.
Now, did you always play offensive line, or did you get to be a quarterback or wide receiver or anything like that?
When I was younger, I was a pretty big kid, so the big kids always got stuck on the offensive line. And now
your word, not mine. I'm going to point out.
Yeah. So I've always played offensive line.
What do you like about it?
I like doing the dirty work. I like being down in the trenches, and I like hitting people. So I like playing offensive line. That's the best part about it.
And someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah, and then also, nobody can really see down there. It gets dirty sometimes. It's the best part about it.
Okay. So follow up a question I asked the coaches earlier. There were a couple really good big players from Lakeshore last week. 55 was a monster, and he could play. How do you, you're a good-sized kid, but you're not 6'4", 260 pounds. How do you get ready, and how do you work against them to defeat that opponent in those kind of situations?
Well, speed and conditioning is definitely what it comes down to. Working hard during the week in order to be faster and outlast those players, because the bigger they are, they're going to tire out easier. So my size, I'm not huge, but being smaller gives me kind of an advantage. I can get lower and play faster for longer. So.
Right. So when you're pass blocking against a kid like that, what do you try to do?
I try to sit back in the chair and keep my weight back so that he doesn't get me on my heels. And just.
So as an offensive line, when you hear Colin get the play from Coach Miller, what's your favorite play call? What do you like as an offensive lineman?
I like trap plays, because those are usually pretty big plays, and I like cracking the linebackers.
Okay, when they don't see you coming?
Yeah, they don't see it coming,
Excellent. Okay. Well, Ben Davidson, third of our football players here, and thanks for coming. Kind of same questions. How did you get started playing football?
I actually come from a family that's more of like a runner type family, and I don't know, I was just kind of a different breed than everyone else in my family. From even when I was young, I always just wanted to play ball sports. I really wasn't much into running. And I started playing in 3rd grade. And I actually was an offensive lineman my first year. And then in 4th grade, I started receiving the ball, playing running back, wide receiver. And I got pretty good at it. And ever since then, I've always been through the St. Clair junior football system and now up in the high school. And I just love it.
Yeah, and your dad, John Davidson, extremely successful cross-country coach, but you managed to escape his clutches, huh, as a kid, huh?
Yeah, running's more. It's more of a mental conditioning, and obviously physical conditioning too. And I don't know, it felt like it would have been a worse decision if I would have ran. And I enjoy football way more than I like to run, honestly, and it would have been more of condition, because it would have put me in a physical disadvantage in other sports. But I love football. I got a lot stronger from football, which helps me in other sports as well.
Well, your key, I think, this year has been versatility, and I was trying to tote off all the different positions. Obviously, you play wide receiver. your running back, kick returner, punter, and defensive back. Is that all of them?
Yes, that's all.
So how do you keep track? I mean, obviously first of all, how do you even spend enough time doing all those prepare? But how do you keep track of all the places you're supposed to be on the football field?
I mean, we have a lot of people who play both ways, offense and defense, and I mean, we split the time between offense and defense. I mean, last year I was just strictly offense, and so I just carry that over from last year, and I've always had like a good offensive coordinator of mine. I usually know what where everything's going on, so I can help other people out. This is my first year in a while actually playing true defense, and at the beginning of the year, I'll admit I was a little shaky. I wasn't nervous, but I kind of just said just have confidence and go out there and play the way I know how to play. And special teams, we take special teams very seriously. Like I think our coach Zirkle does one of the best jobs in the state. We just put so much time in special teams, and it's just as important as offense and defense. A lot of times there's make or break plays on special teams, and I don't mind playing all these positions. It's fun, more time on the field.
Sure. Yeah, I have to say you and Logan Mon and Ethan Mon have done a great job both punt returning and kick returning. We seem to be in pretty good field position almost every single game, except for here on Northern where that kid Felco just was a real difference maker for them with the punting. So tell me a little bit about the wide receiving. Mentioned earlier, you and Colin seem to have really kind of got that chemistry going. Do you do any of the kind of nonverbal communication they talk about in the pros where you kind of catch each other's eye and say, hey, the fade might be open or let's do something deep?
Yeah, I mean, we listen to the play call first of all, and if it's deep pass, and we've been wide receiver quarterback combo since 8th grade, so I mean, this is 3rd year now. We know he knows where I like the football, and I know when he's gonna throw it and how he likes just where he throws, right or left. It's just a good combination, and he's been one of my best friends since 5th or 6th grade. So I mean, we've been playing football together forever, and it's just it's hard to explain. You can't really explain it. It's just there. It's just a aspect that not many people have.
And it looks like you're almost, in a sense, rebounding some of the passes, high pointing the ball, and essentially almost blocking out some of the smaller defensive backs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of D-backs we play are real tiny, 5'6", 5'7". I'm 6'3", and obviously I play basketball, so I know how to box out, and that's what I do, especially when we run those shorter routes. I just kind of use my body. I got a lot of times I outweigh him by 40 pounds, so I just kind of use my body. And this year I've tried to focus on more catching it at its highest point and catching it with my hands. A lot of times last year I had a couple drops because I was trying to catch it with my body.
Sure.
So this year I'm trying to just high point every ball and catch it with my hands, and that helps a lot.
So you mentioned special teams. What's it like returning kicks and having 11 crazies running down with a 30 or 40-yard start coming at you?
Kicks aren't that bad, honestly.
Really?
The punts are
tougher?
Punts are way worse. I mean, you're sitting back there a lot. You don't know whether to fair catch it or not. I mean, but we work on it all the time in practice, and we've been getting better on it. Last week we actually got it. Sometimes we let the punts roll, and we kind of just said that's not right. We should start returning them, and we got a couple of big returns last week.
Okay, great. So I wanted to ask you guys, so you're kind of among the veterans on the team. So how do you help some of the younger players? I mentioned a couple of young kids come up. Colin, what'd you do with I think they both played offense, right? The two of the kids that came up this year or this week. How did you help them get ready for the game?
I know some of those kids.
Okay.
We just got to make a connection with them, If they have any questions, just be like, oh, I'm always there. We went to Coach Nesbitt and say, hey, we got to work out some things. I just noticed that, so we picked up on a few things that they need help with. Just starts with being a good teammate too. In that situation, I want older guys respecting me too. That's a big part of it too. Respect. Just having fun with them too. Make them feel part of the team, and I feel like they gelled in real well.
Yeah. Great. So John, I know a lot of athletes have kind of rituals or routines they go through. Got to put the socks on a particular way, or shoulder pads first, or whatever it might be. Do you have any of those kind of rituals that you do on a Friday night before a football game?
Yeah, I do. So every Friday night I get to the stadium about an hour early.
Okay.
I like to run on the field and warm up, stretch, and then I come back in. And when I put my socks on, I always put my left sock on first, then I put my left cleat on.
Really?
Then I put my right sock on, then I put my right cleat on. And I always got to have a banana and some tonic water before the game just to get me ready.
And it's just kind of get you ready for the game.
Yep.
Ben, is there one of the players, or do you have, who gets you psyched up? I mean, you got to get to a level. Who's the guy on your team that gets you psyched up before the game?
I mean, we got a couple pretty crazy guys on our team.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like Ambrose and AJ, I mean, sometimes they're doing stuff in the locker room like, that's not right, man. Like, I don't know. It's just different. And, I mean, the person that I talk to mostly before the game is Colin because, I mean, we got to have that connection all game. And, like, we just got to know. And a lot of it's, like, psychological. Like, we just know where we're going to be and stuff. But, like, so we do a lot of communicating before the game. Every game we go out there and we throw 50 balls just to make sure that, like, we're both throwing well, both catching well. So, I mean,
So can you share with everybody any of the kind of superstitions that your coaches might have that are just a little bit, you think, strange?
Coach Nesbitt always wears shorts, even when it's like 20 degrees out. I don't understand that.
They both have their own personalities before games. I mean, you just got to get a feel with what they're feeling like, so what you can say to them. You know, I mean, and Coach Miller are really close. I mean, I almost know what they're feeling, like in practice too, even before games. Like, I can sniff them out, like I can tell, like how you're feeling, like how I got to approach them today. You know?
Yeah. So, John, is the offensive line, a lot of times offensive line's almost like their own little tribe. Do you guys have like your own section of the locker room that you get ready in? And
we don't really have our own section, but we all stick close. We're all very close, and we hang out outside of football, and like we're always there for each other. We're just a tight bunch of guys.
Yeah. Oh, great. So, coaches, Marysville this week, huge game. They're undefeated. Tell me a little bit about them. What do you see, Coach, in terms of looking at the film and how you think we're going to attack them?
Well, what I see, first of all, is a very well-coached team. They're fundamentally sound, and they get after it. I think they're physical on the offensive side of the ball, not only on the line of scrimmage, but in the backfield. And on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm sure Coach Miller can speak much more in depth on, but they're very fast.
Oh, really? Okay. So, Coach, I mean, without giving away the game plan, obviously, any thoughts on what are going to be some of the key ways we attack them this week?
Well, we have to match their intensity and speed. They're not a big defense. They're very similar to our defense size-wise. They really fly to the ball, and they many times get 8, 9, 10 helmets to the ball. So if we have to come with great intensity and stick with it and then they play about 3 or 4 more guys. They only play about 14 kids on defense, but they're all very capable. And you can tell they're highly coached, well-coached team.
Okay. So, Coach Nesbitt, I mean, it's Wednesday. It's a build-up to Friday evening, but how do you manage that build-up for your team? You want your team to be excited all week, but it's got to kind of culminate on Friday. What do you do to make sure that happens?
Well, we start with trying to get them right off the bat on Monday, prepare them mentally as much as possible so that they know what we're expecting the opponent to show us this week on all 3 phases. And then from there we kind of build up slowly, but in different ways. Like, for instance, on Tuesday and Wednesday particularly, we try to put them through the ringer. We try to give them in a lot of adverse situations, sometimes probably to their chagrin. Put them in situations where they're going to, not necessarily going to fail, but they're on the edge of failing, because we want them to be able to, on Friday then, it's not the first time they've been in that situation.
Sure.
And hopefully by Thursday, if we've done a good job as coaches and as players, we've balanced that with execution, and we have confidence on Thursday. And so the whole idea on Thursday is we just want to make sure everything's sharp.
Okay.
And then we don't need to necessarily put the screws to them by then, because they've gone through it, and now I just want to make sure that we can execute on all areas.
Excellent. Well, thanks, guys, quite a bit for coming in. You did a very nice job. Really appreciate. A lot of luck for you, and have a good time Friday evening. Really appreciate this. I will say it's going to be a big game Friday. Certainly, a lot of people are going to be there. Recommend getting there early, finding yourself a parking lot. It's going to be a great game. Marysville coming into St. Clair and taking on St. Clair, and look for everybody there at 7 o'clock. Well, everybody, thanks for coming by. This is John Carter at Press Box saying good night, and we'll talk to you next week.